Hey, this is Professor Homo. Welcome to EX9B. And what we're going to do is take our EX9, where we did responsive web design, and we're just going to add a little jQuery to it to make it a little more functional. And I'll show you a sample of what I mean as soon as I download the extra little file that I need. Now, you're going to work with your existing EX9 folder. Everything that you did in EX9, you're going to use again, except we're just going to add one file. And one file is going to be an image file. It's going to be a little hamburger icon, a little options icon. And where you'll get that is if you go to CyberDuck and you go to your EX9 folder, you'll see it in the images. So that means I put it in there for you. It wasn't in there initially. So all you need is that. You can copy down your whole EX9 folder if you want, or you could just drag out the hamburger icon, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag it out and put it into my images folder for my EX9 folder that I had worked on originally. So when you do that, it should download it in there, and you should have a file called hamburger icon. That's all you need to do first. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to brackets, and you're going to do an open folder so that you're only working on your EX9 folder. So I'm going to go to brackets and go to File, Open Folder, and I'm going to look for my EX9 folder. Let me just make sure this is the right one, and it is. So I'll click on that and hit Open. And again, you'll see if I click on my images, I'll see my hamburger icons in there, so I know it's my new one. And I have my CSS and I have my index file. Now you could click on these to work on these. Now what we're going to do first is go into our index HTML page, and you'll see your HTML shim, your meta viewport. I even have my Google Fonts code in here. That's actually for the next exercise, so you'll just have to ignore that for now. And when I preview my page, you'll see that there's a little bit different fonts in there, but that's not a big deal. So anyway, what I want to do in here first, I want to do primarily in this kind of nav left area. Remember, we have a nav section with an ID of nav left, and that's the area. And actually, let me preview this first. Let's just take a look at this again just to refresh what we did last time. And what we did is we made it responsive so that when it hits a 680 breakpoint, it actually changes our CSS and actually takes our nav left and makes it centered and makes it go across the page. And it stacks them without any space in between. So we did that. And that's fine, except if you're viewing this on a phone, this information, all these links that are here, take up a lot of space. I mean, between our image and our address and all these links, that's half our image area on a phone. So we want to change that to maybe have a little menu icon that we could click on and bring this stuff down when we need it. Okay, so just to give you an example, I'll go over to Firefox because I did this in I'm showing this in Firefox. The idea of what we're going to do is basically the same thing, except when we resize it, we're going to make these navigation buttons disappear, and we're going to show something else. We're going to show one navigation button that actually has the word menu on it, and it has a little hamburger icon, hence our hamburger icon that we downloaded. And then when you click on this whole area acts like a link, and when you click on it, it's basically going to run a slide toggle function and just show all our buttons. And then we can close it up too, so it kind of opens and closes like blinds. Then when we resize our window, it should bring back our buttons. And that was a little trick we had to deal with, so I'll go through that too. But that's the idea, is that instead of just having all these buttons showing up, we're going to use this little slide toggle, and it requires a little jQuery, which jQuery uses JavaScript. It's kind of a shortcut for JavaScript, and it'll just make things a little more functional than we can do with CSS. We have our limits with CSS, but JavaScript will make things a little more dynamic, a little more functional. So that's what we're going to do, and it's not a lot of work either. So it'll be fairly simple to do. We'll just copy and paste some code. So going back to here, what we're going to have to do first is we're basically going to make our nav elements, we're going to give them class names, and we're actually going to make a new element or a new line item, that menu one with the hamburger icon. So we're just going to, what we're going to do is just copy and paste this first one that's here. So I'm just going to copy it, and I'll add a new line item. And I'll paste it in there, and I'll just change my link name. I'll just call it dropdown. It doesn't matter what the link name is right now. And also the word home, I'm going to change to menu. So I'll change that. But then also what I'm going to do, and even if I save, you could save this as you go. If you save this and you go here and you refresh this, now I have this menu item here. So I have one other menu item here. It doesn't really, it still goes with all the other ones. It's like I just added another one. But we don't want that to show up until we get to the breakpoint. And once we get to the breakpoint, we don't want these others to show up. So we're going to have to kind of show this one and hide the others. So that's our plan. Okay, so we're going to have, in order to do that, and let me change this, I spelled drop down wrong. In order to do that, we got to give them class names. So we could put that right in the li. I'm just going to call this one, I'll just do li class equals, and I'll just call it menu dropdown. And I'll encircle that with quotes and just put a dash in there. And then this other one I'm going to call, and I'll even just copy this just to, I'll put this in here. And these other ones we're going to call menu item. So all the other ones are going to be called menu items, so we can identify them or select them and then be able to turn them off or hide those. So all the other ones are going to be called this. So I'm just going to copy this li and then paste it to all the others. Okay, so all of these have class names now. The first one is menu dropdown, and the existing ones that we had are called menu items. So that's fine, we have our class names, and we're going to use those in CSS. One other thing we want to do is put a hamburger icon in here, and what we're going to do is put it right, so I'll put it right after the word menu. We're going to put our hamburger icon there. So what I'll do is I'll just start typing img src, and then equals, and it'll look for my images folder. So I'll go in there and find the hamburger icon, and there it is. And then I'll even put an alt tag. I'll just put an alt tag equals, and I'll just put, you know, drop down. That's all I need in there. So I'll just put an alt tag in case the icon doesn't show up, or I could call it menu icon, because it's really just for the alt tag again is just for the hamburger icon, and I'll just call it drop down is fine for now. And I need to close that tag. That's why it was showing up red. If you don't close a tag, you'll see some red tags around it. So I'll close that up right now, and I'll take a look at it. I'll just save it. Let me refresh it. This is what it will look like. Actually, I had some code in there that I was trying out that I left in there. It's going to look like this initially. What we want to do is we want to move this hamburger icon over, and the code I have is this nav left limg. And basically, I don't have to give my img or my image a class name. I just have to identify the image that's inside the line item. And it's the only image that's inside any of the line items, and I'm just putting a float right on there. So this particular tag is going to make that look like this, and that's what I want. So you're going to need basically this CSS, so you're going to have to open up your EX9 CSS and put that in. And I put this kind of just after the LI because I have a UL, I have an LI, and I put it, since it's another LI, I put it here before I got to all these links here. So, you know, depending where you want to keep your LI kind of styles in with the nav left, you know. So, you know, I think when I tell you to do the other ones, we might do them after the nav left here, or you could do it right here if you want to keep all your new ones together. That's up to you, whatever helps you keep organized. So right now, everything's visual the way we want, except what we want to do is we want to hide. If we go back to our index page, we basically want to hide this one, and we want to show all of these.